Yo, coming to you live from World Championship in San Jose. Welcome to the Living Legends podcast.
Let's get into it. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Living Legends podcast. This is your one-stop shop.
Oh, look at that.
Kel got the drink on deck.
It's just water.
This is your one-stop shop for everything flesh and blood related. And yeah, without further ado, I am Bill from the Spike Feeders. I'm going to be your host for today. And joining me as always, let's kick it in alphabetical order. We also have Az.
Hello, welcome back. We're recording this a little bit later than usual, just because Pro Tour was happening, and we thought we'd wait till that's all sort of blown over to do this podcast for you. So it should be fairly up to date, because normally we record on the Saturday, so it should be fairly relevant when you're listening to this now. And I believe it's still coming out normal time on a Wednesday. Is that right?
Yep, you will be listening to this either at or after 6 a.m. Wednesday PST.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
But yeah, very much looking forward to it. And then we got Cal as well over there.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, most of my weekend was actually spent making videos about all the news we're going to talk about. So
Yeah,
a lot of exciting stuff. And yeah, I won't belabor the point too much. How's it going, everyone?
Yeah.
you know that Red Zone Rogue is going to be, as soon as there's an article, there's going to be a video within at least half an hour about it.
Oh yeah.
I try. Especially for Flesh and
Fantastic.
Blood. I get very excited, and I really want to talk about the stuff. And this
Yeah.
one there's some interesting stuff to unpack here. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited just with the initial stuff that they've teased us with. Because one of the major things is we saw the two heroes that are going to be part of Dusk Till Dawn, which is the new the most, I was going to say most recent, but the next set that's going to be coming out.
Yep.
So we saw just their names and their card arts. We didn't see anything about who they are or what they do really. And then we also have a spoiler card, which I always love when they do stuff like this. And there are a couple things about this card that I really want to highlight because other people already have, but I think they're worth talking about. So first of all, the first card that we've gotten, I'll read it here, is another ally. It's a Majestic from Dusk Till Dawn, and it's called Bologna, Archangel of War. They've confirmed that it comes in Marvel, and the art is phenomenal. As always, Flesh and Blood art is just crazy.
In fact,
Just to confirm as well, both our fingers are up.
Yeah, it's the art. For those listening, it's the art that was on the promotional material that we speculated on a couple weeks ago that a lot of people thought was Dorinthia or Kasai. Turns out,
Exactly.
like we said in the podcast, it's neither of them. So
Yeah.
It's just another angel. But not I said not another angel, but it is another angel. And it has 4 attack and 4 health, as well as ward 4. So if your hero would be dealt damage, you destroy Bologna to prevent 4 of that damage. So obviously kind of gain 4 life in most capacities, which is kind of cool. Your opponent can play around that, but also this is just a 4/4, which ends up being a pretty big threat because it also has once per turn action for 2 resources attack. And then whenever this attacks, you may banish a card from your hero's soul. If you do, put a +1 counter on each angel you control.
Ooh, white weenie.
Yeah.
there we go. I pulled it up for everyone. Now you can all see.
Yeah. So pretty interesting effect. Another thing that is interesting that I wanted to highlight is that this is a light angel ally. So it's not a light illusionist card.
No.
It is just a light card. So some people are saying, well, you can play this in Bolton. Potentially. I would assume you can, but it depends on what the actual invoke side of this card is.
Yeah.
What it takes to get this ally out. Because so far we've seen invoke onto ashes and invoke onto spectral shields. So far the precedent is that it has to be a permanent that's in play that you sort of turn into this. So I guess we'll have to see.
It would make sense for Soul though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously
yeah.
Prism and Bolton both have stuff in their soul which is on board. So I guess you would be able to remove something from the soul to then invoke it, perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might be like you take a card from your soul and turn this into it somehow. I don't know exactly how they would do that, but I could see that. It's in some capacity.
I mean, it could be like simple as like as an additional cost to play this card, banish X cards from your soul or something like that.
Yeah.
What's interesting to note is like Bill said, it is only a light card, and design wise, you have to think like, why is it only a light card? Why is it not a light illusionist card? And so there, on the reverse side, there has to be some way that enables it to be used by other light heroes. I would say perhaps this new Prism, by the way, perhaps new Prism doesn't use spectral shields at all. Perhaps she has an entirely new thing going on for her.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I can also pull up. Let me see if I can pull Prism.
Awakener of Soul is what she's called. Isn't
Well,
it?
the adult one,
the CC one.
The adult one for CC is called Awakener of Soul. The young one is called what is it called?
Throne Sitter or something.
It's like Herald of Thrones or something, but not that.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up. It's called like
something
Advent of Thrones, maybe.
That's it. Yeah, that's the one.
So here, let me pull that one up.
But yeah, I also think it's interesting that as far as I'm aware, we only have one other angel, and that's Soraya that we just got from Dynasty. And giving +1 counters to Soraya is really good because whenever Soraya deals damage, you gain that much life. So obviously that's an illusionist only situation. But
yeah,
pretty good 1-2 combo.
I put the art.
That was a legendary as well, wasn't it? That was Olivia's spoiler, wasn't it? I think. Soraya.
Yeah. So you heard it here first. Maybe you should go buy Soraya. maybe you should make sure you have a copy of Soraya before Dusk Till Dawn comes out, because it looks like there is angel synergy.
Which is crazy, isn't it? It's just like we're going down that route again of board state development as being a thing, and I imagine as well, going on from this as well, obviously we got the 2 heroes that are confirmed. You got Vinset, is it Vinset, and then obviously Prism as well.
Vinset. I'm pulling up both of the arts right now in real time. So we have Vinset here on the left and Prism on the right. Yeah.
Sweet. So for the visual viewers, you can have a look at that now. But the art is just absolutely awesome. Vinset has just got it's just like Hellraiser almost, got like pins in her arms and stuff, and just like pure dark.
She's even like bald. Like she gets very strong like Hellraiser vibes, like for sure.
Yeah, and there's like a cloth like over her eyes as well, isn't there? Which reminds me of like Anima from Final Fantasy X, like that sort of style. Looks quality, yeah. Pure pain incarnate. I imagine you're going to be paying some life away for shadow shenanigans, aren't you? Let's be honest.
Yeah. A couple interesting things to note for those lore nerds out there, or just people flavor nerds. They got the original artists for the 2 heroes to paint them again. So Vinset is done by Federico Musetti, the original artist for Chain. And then Livia Prima did the art for Prism previously, and then also this new young Prism. Obviously, we don't know what the adult versions are like because these are both the arts for the young version specifically. We also know that Vinset has 20 health as a young version, and Prism has 16, which is the lowest aside from Kano, which is scary because she's got to have some insane ability. She has to be very, very strong to have 16 health, and people should be afraid. I'm afraid. You should be afraid.
Well, like the trade-off for Kano having such a low life total is that he can play on your turn, on your opponent's turn, rather.
Yeah, he can one-shot you on your own turn.
Yeah, he can one-shot you on your own turn, which, balances out the fact that he has 75% of the life total of most other heroes.
Yeah.
So like 16 is pretty close to 15 and is also a huge downside. So I feel like they wouldn't give her this big of a downside unless her ability was good.
Yeah, and then you can you can extrapolate from that what her adult version would have, which would just be double that, so like 32. So her adult version likely has 32 health, which is also exceedingly low for CC. So Yeah.
But that also that could also be quite blatant in the reveal for Bologna as well, and obviously Soraya for that matter, as the fact that if she wants and cares about summoning angels, all of those angels prevent damage, from getting through, which
That
obviously is
word,
an extension of life essentially.
Yeah.
So she might be able to get them out easier than Boltin. Boltin might still be able to do it because obviously it's a light card, but Prism might be the angel tribal deck essentially.
That's actually a really good point. A lot of people are assuming that Prism's going to be like super aggro pain. It could be the opposite. She could just be like tanky as hell, which is why she has lower life. Like she could just have so much extra like virtual life from all the angels and stuff that they needed to do that to balance out, just gameplay length, that kind of stuff.
You know what my called shot is going to be for this one? I think this is going to be what makes Celestial Kimono playable.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's the name of the card, right?
Yeah.
It's the chest piece from not Everfest Dynasty.
It's Dynasty.
Uprising Dynasty.
Yeah.
That whenever it or another permanent you control with ward is destroyed, you gain a resource.
Oh God, yeah.
So far, if they're gonna go in on allies as a thing, so far the two angel allies that we've seen both have ward. Maybe they're gonna do more ward. We know that they're not gonna do Spectra. That was confirmed, I believe, directly by James White.
Yep, James said they will not be doing Spectra in Dusk Till Dawn, and it's likely they won't be revisiting it anytime soon.
Which is good. I'm okay with that.
It's fair. Yeah, it's fair.
Spectra is such a feel bad mechanic.
And even Josh said that when he was on the podcast, didn't he? He said, "Oh, that was wasn't a good thing to do." Essentially,
I will note that James did say during the interview that he attributed a lot of Spectra's power to Luminaris, which is fair. It's not why Spectra is unfun. It's why Spectra can kill you in CC or Blitz. That's not why Spectra's unfun though. But I thought it was an interesting thing that he pointed out.
I think the reason for that, for it being unfun, is Arclight Sentinel.
Well,
oh, God.
that and it leads to like feel bad situations for like people who don't understand the mechanics and like new players that attack like a Spectra with Go Again, and they're like, "Oh, I got to go again," and they're like, "No, you don't. Your turn is done now." Which is just not a great feeling. Yeah.
So another thing as well, like with this, is like Celestial Kimono is awesome. I've just looked at it, and I was just based on what you said there. What would happen, right, if you had Bologna out and Celestial Kimono out? If you were dealt damage, would they both trigger then? And you'd have to sacrifice them both, or would you choose one?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, all permanents with ward you control would trigger, but then you get to choose which one happens. And then once you've, because it's a replacement effect, the prevention replaces the event, and then you keep going down the line until there's no more damage to prevent. So if you had if you were being dealt 4 damage and you had Bologna plus 4 other things with ward 1, you could choose to sacrifice the 4 ward 1s instead of the Bologna.
Yeah. What interesting to note though, like you couldn't, like if you had 3 other things with ward 1 and Bologna, if you couldn't do the 3 things because you still have 1 damage left over, and it would have to hit Bologna, and then Bologna would get destroyed. So
yeah. So I think, I don't know. I think the rehashing. I mean, it's not really technically a rehash because the other Light Angel ally we've seen also has Ward 4, so that just might be the thing that the Angel allies have. But I wouldn't put it past them to be like, yeah, we're gonna do some more Ward shenanigans, and maybe it's Celestial Kimono's time to shine. Maybe it's Ghostly Touch's time to shine as well.
Oh, possibly.
Oh, there were some swings with Ghostly Touch though at the top tables on Sunday. Bloody hell!
Yeah,
one of them came in for like 17 damage or something because of how many times Michael Feng had popped their attacks with his stuff. There was a 2-hour game on Sunday.
Oh, God.
2 hours. Oldhim versus Dromai. It was crazy.
Yeah. In the lore, there are 8 gates of Solana, and I believe each of the 8 gates has its own protector, herald, its own angel. And we have seen 2 of them. we have seen Soraya and Bologna, and I would bet that we will see most of, if not all of the rest in the set. They will all likely be legendary in mechanic, not in rarity, though some of them might be. So I imagine they're all one-ofs, just like Soraya, and very much probably like Bologna as well. So yeah, I think that's just an interesting thing to note. And the fact that we have 10 Marvels in the set means that they could eat up most of the Marvel slots. My big guess with the Marvels, by the way, and this is my big guess for the set in general. I think obviously we're getting angels, but I think we're also going to be getting demons to complement the angels, and I suspect the Marvels will be half and half, 10 angels, 10 demons. And so instead of just having a bunch of angels and then the monastery just doesn't have their demons anymore, I suspect we'll see more easily summonable demons by Vincent based on one of the things that they put in the set announcement, and that Vincent's ability, her key ability, is rune gating. And what rune gating to me sounds like is summoning demons. Literally the spell Gate is a spell that summons demons in Dungeons and Dragons. So rune gating is just like, oh, maybe you use your rune chance or something to summon demons.
No, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because there was that piece of art that we talked about that got spoiled, where there was somebody, and I assume it was Vincent. I don't remember the actual art itself, but somebody was like on their knees, sort of with their hands above their head, and they were surrounded by, I think it was like 10 rune chants or 8 rune chants or something. Yeah. And then there was something behind them that looked like a demon of some variety. So I feel like that'll probably be their ally mechanic, is transforming onto rune chants.
Yeah. I think
that makes a lot of sense.
Which is cool, because it's like it transforms damage into minions, which could also, or allies technically, which could also end up dealing damage. I do very much like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's
there's two avenues as well you could go down with that, because you could either use the rune chants to ping, like, so for instance, if you look at Ward, if you ping a rune chant at someone, that's 1 damage, right? So that would kill an angel straight away. 1 rune chant. Yeah. So you could either go down the route of using the rune chants to ping off the board state that Prism or Bolton is developing, or summon the demons. So that's also quite cool as well. If in fact they use it that way, where it is actual rune chants, because that also supports Viscera as well, then, doesn't it? If they just put rune chants on something.
If this is true, and once again we're just pure speculating right here. If it's true, it makes cards like Read the Runes and Revel in Runeblood very, very good. Like better than they already were. So just keep that in mind.
Because even in that way, I would say that even blue Read the Runes would be playable. Because I think it makes like 2, although it doesn't inherently have Go again.
Blue makes 1.
Blue makes 1. I'm thinking of the math after you play
with Viscera,
Mordred Tide.
And Mordred Tide, but Revel makes 4. There's also Runeblood Barrier that makes 4, I believe, as well.
Also 4,
So like if there's like a big old chunky demon that's like, oh, you need 5 rune chants to like summon him, just having a Revel in Runeblood or like a barrier, it's a good way. So
definitely.
And that's also quite thematic and similar in parallel to the removing the stuff from the soul, because you're building up they're both storage sort of mechanics, aren't they? You're getting a critical mass of them to then do either prevention effects or summoning demons or angels or whatever. So that's quite cool.
Yeah. And we've kind of danced around it a little bit, but it's almost confirmed that Chain will not be in the set. That Chain will not be returning, because they literally say it on the product reveal page that something along the lines of, while Chain remains in the confines of Living Legend, yada, yada, yada. So they basically said that Chain's not going to be returning, at least in this set, as a character. Vincent is the replacement. And what's interesting to note about that is that you won't be able to use Chain specializations, specifically Eclipse, which is why another thing that ties to this demon summoning thing, I think we'll have another way to summon Ursa. And then on top of that, we have Prism, which means you can play with Prism specializations. So, yay for everyone who loves Arclight Sentinel. That's coming.
Woohoo!
That's
Yeah,
coming
baby.
back, like 100% coming
Coming
back
back.
in CC.
Cannot wait.
Yep.
Can't wait for
It
that.
is- Wow, Herald of Erudition is not a Prism specialization. I thought it was, but no, I think it's just Arclight Sentinel and Herald of.
It's
It's one that has Dominate, I think, and then cares about the soul.
it's
But yeah,
yeah.
I can't remember either.
I thought it cared about attacking a shadow opponent. Like I think it's like. Oh, now I have to look it up.
That's another good point though. Is like the shadow cards that are only playable in Monarch sealed or whatever. The stuff they care about when they hit banish a card from Soul actually might become relevant because a Soul could be ridiculously good.
people might be starting to utilize the soul again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Herald of Judgment is the other Prism spec.
That's the one.
It's a 2 for 6,
Oh,
blocks
yeah.
3, and it does care about sort of that. So it says, if Herald of Judgment hits, put it into your soul, and the defending hero can't play cards from their banished zone until the end of the next turn. So that's what it does.
Yeah.
Makes it so they can't play cards from banished, which we'll see if the new Shadow, we'll see if Vincent cares about like playing stuff from banishment at all.
I have a sneaking suspicion that they will, because I feel like there's already so much stuff in terms of the identity of Shadow Runeblades based in Blood Debt. I feel like if they don't have a way to utilize Blood Debt, ergo a way to banish cards from anywhere, feels like they would just be basically starting from scratch. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but especially like you were saying in the actual announcement, it says, although Chain remains confined to the realm of living legends, his teachings are not.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's something like Blood Debt and whatever is like pretty inherent in the Shadow Runeblade identity, like I said. So
I think more. Yeah, I think you're right, but I think more than that. I think banishment and Blood Debt are inherent to just being Shadow. I think it's just a core tenet of the Shadow talent, because we see that with Levia as well. And hopefully we'll see some Levia support. I know everyone out there who cares about Levia is really, really hoping for some big stuff. Same with Bolton as well. Noted Mansant asked about Levia at the Q&A, and James obviously didn't say much. He was just like, you just gotta have faith. Basically, is what he said. It's a huge set. It's like a 236 card set. So I mean, come on, there's gotta be like Bolton and Levia support in here. It can't just be 236 Prism and Vincent cards.
Support for Shadow and Light, just like in general, with 2 new heroes. I think that's a pretty easy bet to make. But also 8 legendaries in this set.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, it is a supplemental set, so I think that's what they did with the others as well, like Everfest and I guess Everfest didn't have that many, but
Everfest only had like 3 or 4.
Dynasty had a bunch.
8 is a lot. Yeah.
That is another thing as well with this set. Obviously, it's a supplementary set, and the way they're doing it as well, and this could be a sort of prelude to what's to come, is tying it to a draftable set that's come before it, like Monarch, for instance. When you go to a Dusk Till Dawn pre-release, it's going to be a Monarch situation, isn't it, where you get the packs in addition to playing the draft or the sealed.
So so to tie it all together, this Dusk Till Dawn is the second in a trilogy of what James is calling the War of the Monarch, starting with Monarch, and then Dusk Till Dawn is the second. The third, I don't know, we'll see at some point. But because of that, and because it's all tying together both thematically and mechanically, what as I said is true. The War of the they're calling it, the pre-release is called the War of the Monarch pre-release. So it's not technically like a Dusk Till Dawn pre-release. If you're going to look for it, it's called the War of the Monarch pre-release. And everyone will be playing Draft Monarch. So Monarch Draft with potential Dust Hold on prize support. I have a lot of feelings about this. I think it's cool because a lot of people never got a chance to draft Monarch, and I think it's a lot of fun. I have been able to draft it a couple times. Spoilers: Dread Scythe is really good.
Yeah.
I literally won me games just by itself. But also that the stores, I don't know how they're enforcing or how they're doing price structures. Is what I'm getting at here. Like, it would be such a feel bad to show up to the War of the Monarch pre-release, get your 3, do your Monarch draft and go 0 and 3 and walk away with no Dust Till Dawn packs. That would just suck. So
yeah,
I really hope that the LGSs and LSS and combination of the two have in mind that situation, and I'm hoping that it's a situation like this where you show up to the draft, you buy in, you have your 3 packs for Monarch, and then everyone gets X number of Dust Till Dawn packs no matter what, because otherwise you're just going to a Monarch draft and then losing and then walking away with nothing, which is lame. Which is lame as hell. So if I was a store, I would do charge everyone the same price for sealed, and then everyone gets the 3 Monarch packs, and then everyone also gets 3 Dust Till Dawn packs, which would be the same amount of cards that you would normally get at a regular pre-release if you went 0 and 3. Then you get like pack per win pricing or whatever else on top of that. So I highly encourage stores to give people at least some Dust Till Dawn packs like at the door. Like, otherwise it's super feels bad and lame, in my opinion.
Yeah. I like the idea of the fact that if you're bringing out a supplementary set that's themed around a certain thing like this, Shadow and Light, you're tying it to a set that already exists that can be drafted. But again, it's just how the stores implement that and how they make it so it's not a feel bad, which is the main challenge, I guess. But it's like if we went to a supplementary set which was it was based in the pits to support certain characters, but then it was drafted with outsiders essentially, but still had support for everyone. So it's a good way to go, I guess, if you want to do the supplementary sets with themes attached, is to have the draft sets behind it already.
And we also know that Cold Foil Prism Advent of Thrones, the art that you see here, and then Cold Foil Vinset will be prize support at the pre-release as well. Yeah, and I very much want the Prism one. She is very, very pretty. So
yeah, it really is.
Yeah, the art, as always, they just knocked it right out of the park. It's so good.
I'm not even joking. Shortly after I saw it, I literally DM'd Livia Prima, and I was like, "The art's so good. Are you going to be doing prints? I want to sign print." So I literally messaged her like right after I saw it because I love the art so much. I want to put it up in the studio. It's beautiful. And Livia Prima is one of my favorite artists. You can't see it here, but I literally have 2 hand-drawn things from her. So it's like, yeah, very, 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 very cool stuff. Even though I'm not like a Prism main or anything, I very much like the character and I very much like the art. So
yeah, it's extremely well designed.
Let me put it this way. Prism as a character gives me very Daenerys vibes, if that makes any sense for people who know like Game of Thrones, where she's like,
let's not get into Game of Thrones again.
We're not getting into Game of Thrones. I'm getting into the vibes. So like, she feels like a character that comes off as very like pure and for the greater good. But I have a feeling that when push comes to shove, she's like a evil tyrant, like where she's just gonna absolutely like submit everyone to subjugation or like die by the die in righteous fire kind of situation.
Well, it's like the
I really think that's what the sort of story around the battle between the Monastery and Soul is going to be. I think it's going to turn out that the light is actually not as good as we think it is.
Oh yeah,
that's it.
I wrote a really I don't want to toot my own horn, but I put up a Twitter poll, just being like, which do you pledge allegiance to, the light or shadow? And someone said something like, neither. They're here for the people. And I responded in the way that I believe Prism would respond. Let me find what I wrote. I said, soul finds your lack of faith wanting and demands immediate indoctrination unto the glory of the light. Relinquish your thoughts, for they are but a burden. Bathe in the radiance and obey. Like, that's the vibe that I get
It is
from them. It's just like, yeah.
It's like that. It's like that whole thing we went on. We discussed it at a previous podcast about Shiana getting sort of embalmed in light, like quite horrendously, and intrusively. And it's that same sort of feeling. It's just like, oh yeah, she looks elegant on the surface, but she could be using the divine power in horrific ways, essentially.
And to that end, the survey currently has 400 votes. 53% are siding with Shadow, and 47% are light, which is not entirely surprising. It was 50-50 for a very long time, because you have people who love Chain and Levia, but then you also have people who love mostly Prism. There's some Bolton fans out there, but it's mostly Prism, let's be honest. So, yeah, I think it's funny.
I'm just going to say I voted for light on that poll, by the way.
I don't know. I don't know what I would choose. I could say something lore-wise and really dorky, like since my allegiance lies with the spider, they would be whoever has the most money, I suppose.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is probably
probably Soul.
Probably Solana, but
yeah, sat on a throne of gold.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. But yeah.
So
that's good stuff.
I'm very interested to see what Vincent actually does in terms of Shadow Runeblade shenanigans. Because notably in Classic Constructed, they will have access to Seeds of Agony.
God, yes.
Yeah, Seeds is still suspended in Blitz until Chain becomes Living Legend. But in CC, it is not banned because the only hero that can use it is Chain, and Chain got Living Legended. So, yeah.
That is interesting, actually. Because I recently recorded a video for TCG Play where I open up a box of Monarch, and I just talk about, like, things that I think people should pay attention to from Monarch that I think are undervalued now. They're going to be very valued in a short time. I did not think about Seeds because I just assumed it was banned. I pointed out stuff like Shadowverser, stuff like these cards, Shadow Puppetry, these cards that are very, very strong but don't see a lot of play because obviously Chain is LL and, Levia. So,
Shadow Puppetry is really strong for the deck. So I think that one's definitely a card to keep your eyes on.
Shadow Puppetry, Shadowverser, like there's a bunch of there's a handful of really, really strong Shadow and Shadow Runeblade cards. I pointed out Eclipse, but we now know that we will not be getting Chain, so Eclipse is, off the menu for at least the time being.
Ursa, if you look at the Ursa token, though, it does seem quite powerful, especially in this sort of thing. If you're looking at Soul, because if you could summon it easily, it's a 0 for 6 attack, and if it has one or more cards in their Soul, the attack has go again, which is probably going to be most of the time. So it could be an absolute beater of a demon if it was in the set.
If that Ursa token comes back, it is very interesting for CC because what made it really good is Chain could give it go again. And if Vincent doesn't have a go again staple to her ability, then you'd have to do Ursa last because the odds that you're fighting against another light hero with a card in their soul is pretty small in CC, right? Unless Prism is the flavor of the month, which probably will be, but
probably will be,
against an Oldhim or Azalea or whatever, you kind of just have
a 6 for nothing. Yeah.
I mean 6 for nothing's pretty good, but
Yeah, exactly.
It's also I was just gonna say, those demons are also really strong in that they don't have any weak defensive weaknesses like the angels and the dragons do. Yeah, you have to just deal 6 to them. There's no way to pop it. There's no way to whatever. Yeah.
literally, that's exactly what I was going to say. The difference in between the angels and the demons is angels just die from any damage. You can choose which angel dies when you take the damage, I guess, from the ward trigger, but you have to physically declare an attack against Ursa.
I just thought
What
of
are we
something.
thinking?
I just thought of something. So, okay, hear me out. This mechanically makes a lot of sense to me. So, spectral shields. Those angels, at least the one that we know about currently, is made from spectral shield. And what a spectral shield does is that it basically has ward, right? When it has like ward 1. So an angel is just a big version of that. They have ward 4. What if the demons from Dusk Till Dawn, if they are summoned by rune chants, have a rune chant like effect, right? Where like maybe not on attack, but maybe on death, they explode and deal damage based on whatever, right? Like what if it like they're like mirrored effects? I don't know, just something that came to mind.
I think that's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
Just
I think
mechanically
if that
flavor
were
makes
the
sense.
case, if they were like a ticking time bomb, then they would probably have to have either like weaker power or weaker effects, because potentially like it'd be really cool if it was perfectly mirrored, where it's like one spectral shield turns into ward 4, and then like one rune chant turns into 4 arcane damage. But I feel like maybe over 2.
Well, no, yeah. Maybe it's like 1-to-1. So maybe it's like you need 4 rune chants to make this 4 rune chant damage, like the 4 arcane damage demon or whatever. So like gameplay wise, you're not losing damage, if that makes sense, right? Because you still have that arcane damage baked into your demon. You're just saving it for later. I don't know.
Yeah.
That could just be fun design. I don't know.
I think that's reasonable too, because I think that makes more sense than having it be just like one rune chant, because it's actually way easier to make rune chants than it is to make spectral shields.
Yes, that's
like
true.
you compare prismatic shields versus read the runes. Read the runes doesn't have go again, but it is a 0 cost that makes 3 at red. Spectral shield is an instant, but it costs 3 to make 3 spectral shields. So I definitely think having a requirement for, transform 4 rune chants you control into this, I don't think is unreasonable.
Yeah. The rates of the rune chants are higher, aren't they? Like if you want to, let's just say the demon costs 4 rune chants to summon, that's not even a red read the runes, and that doesn't even have go again. So it could be. Do we think rune chants will be the currency for that? Then it's got to be, because the rune gating, surely.
I think so.
I think there's a better chance than not. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
but that's nothing to do with Shadow, though, is it? Rune chants. So how's Shadow going to come into it?
Well, the demons. That's what the shadow is. Because
they got that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I imagine they would all be like Shadow Runeblade cards, so like Viscera and Briar couldn't play them.
Well, I mean, I guess as is, you have a good point, because one of the things that we don't know that's kind of based on is why Bologna is not an illusionist hero. Like, is it going to still be the currency to use spectral shields to turn something into Bologna, or is it going to be something else?
But yeah, like, I mean, they're calling it rune gating, right? Like, it's got to use runes. Like, why would you call it rune gating and not use
It's not unreasonable as well to assume that there will be light allies and then also light illusionist allies, or maybe light warrior allies, and then same with Shadow, where there could be Shadow Brute, Shadow Runeblade, and then just Shadow.
Could be.
And they'll have their ways of doing it, depending on what the overarching genre is.
Yeah, like I said, I suspect we'll see 5 angel marvels, 5 demon marvels, and there's a lot of room for them to be different in those. Like Bill said. Like, I can definitely see that.
And I also had a quick look through the other sets. The most amount of legendaries we've seen thus far is 6 in a single set.
8's a lot, man.
We're going up to 8.
8's a lot. I do feel it's hard to speculate now, because they've been very inconsistent with the types of legendaries they have in sets. You can't say it's going to be hard like 4 shadow, 4 light. It could be like a Vincent specialization, and then like a legendary boot, and then like a light chest, and then like a shadow hat or something. Like it could just be like random crap. Like that's what they've done recently. It's just like it's really hard to guess and pinpoint what they are, because like even in Outsiders, they put like a dual class one, like Flick Knives is assassin and ranger. Like no one would have guessed that going into it. So it's like it's 8 legendaries is a lot. It could be a ton of stuff. I imagine it will be a mix of equipment and non-equipment things. I think we'll see some angel or eclipse style stuff. There's got to be some weird crap going on here. Like I don't think we'll get 8 pieces of equipment is what I'm saying. Like
I think it's a pretty safe bet to assume that at least one of them is going to be an invoke. At least one of them is going to create a thing.
Probably, yeah.
Obviously, we've seen that Bologna is not. Bologna is just a Majestic. And we don't know if Bologna is like not a legendary, but legendary, as in you can only have one in your deck.
Yeah.
We don't know that yet. She could be.
I would bet she is, but it's impossible to tell. Who knows?
I would say she probably is, just because she's named like Soraya.
I think all of this is. I don't know if this is a spicy take or not, but I think all of the angels will be legendary in mechanic. Like it also makes sense as to why the set is so big. Like they just have all these one-off cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably the same with demons too in that regard, but I don't know. Okay, this is more speculation before we move on to other stuff. We know obviously that there is a Fabled in the set. There's a Fabled in every set. The Fabled from Monarch was the Great Library of Solana. Do y'all think this is finally the time we'll see a return to landmarks, which is something that people keep guessing but are constantly wrong about? I heard people in my Discord, or read people in my Discord were saying that they think that it will mirror Monarch in that we will now get a shadow location, because we got a light location before. Now we'll get a shadow location. Someone said somewhere in the Monastery, but it could be something like Arathiel. Like it could be literally like the freaking plane of demons. That kind of thing.
That would be good.
What do you guys think?
I'm pretty in to say that it's like likely something from the Monastery. I would just personally love to see that. I really like landmarks, even if they're not necessarily the best type of card that we've gotten thus far. The most playable, just because they're not inherently consistent.
They block 3.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
And I mean, Library was very playable for a long time.
So it might be again. Who knows? Like
yeah. Like make sure you pick those up. They've already started to spike. Everything with respect to Monarch has started to spike already. But but yeah, I would love to see like a Demonastery location. I think that'd be really cool. Maybe something that like has blood debt.
Or like
you're able to like channel a portal to the plane of demons.
There's some cool stuff they could do. There's
how about you, Ed?
I'd love to see a landmark again. It's been a long time, isn't it? The last one was what? Caution?
Aria. Yep, Tales of Aria.
Yeah,
that's a long time ago. And there was
like 5
so
sets.
so we had Aria, and then we had the draftable set before that was Monarch, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So there was 2 landmarks in a row, and then just nothing after that.
Yep. It's interesting to see their design philosophy for certain things, because we got landmarks all at once and then no more landmarks, and the exact same time we got that, we also got mentors and then no more mentors. Except for classic battles. I guess classic battles introduced mentors, but those mentors were and I for the audio listeners, I did a face and a thumbs down, because the classic battles mentors can only be used by those specific heroes, and I think that's lame. They should have been able to be used by any hero. And even then, they probably wouldn't see that much play. But at least I could play them in UPF with other stuff. Anyway.
For the audio listeners out there, if you've seen Gladiator, he just did that Commodus sort of thumbs down sort of situation.
Maximus the
condemning him
Merciful.
to death.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm very, very excited for Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
We should be, hopefully, I mean, there's no confirmation that this will happen, but if we are getting spoilers, we should be getting those emails like about a month before. So maybe end of May, early June.
Bill, do you have
yes.
the date that previous season's supposed to start? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I do. It's June 30th, and then it goes until July 2nd. So it's just that weekend, and I think the 2nd is a Monday.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. So when a set comes around like this, I'm super curious as to what they're going to give me, if they give me anything at all, of course. But like,
it's okay. You're right to assume they probably will.
They probably will, but I always put that possibility just in case they don't, and I won't feel as bad if they don't give me one. I'll just be like, okay, fine, it's not my time. But like they always have an easy fallback on me. They always give me Ranger and now recently Assassin, which is great. The other sets that haven't had those two classes, they didn't ask me for Monarch. They just gave me Mutated Mass, so I got a Shadow card, which is cool. I like it. That card's great. It's not a great card, but I think it's cool. And then for Uprising, they actually asked me what I would prefer, like a class. They didn't ask me like, oh, what card do you want? They're just like, hey, what class do you like that's not Ranger? And then I was just like, oh, I like these classes. I did say Illusionist as one of them because I just really like the flavor, like lore and flavor wise. I love the Illusionists. One of my second favorite character archetype in fantasy is like a sorcerer type character. I like the rogue, sneaky, assassin-y type stuff. But I also very, very much like the sorcerer. That's my number 2 pick. Even if I don't really like the, wizard mechanics in Flesh and Blood all that much, I still like the character archetypes, and I like Illusionist a little more. But anyway, so I'm very curious to see what they want to, if they're going to give me anything, what they're going to give me for Dusk Till Dawn.
I really hope they give me something cool that's Illusionist related. I think I've talked enough about how this Prism deck is my favorite deck. If anybody from LSS is listening right now, please
just DM Alex. Alex, Illusionist, please.
It'd be so cool.
That would be sick.
I mean, yeah. I don't want to call my shots or anything, but obviously, there's like the most exciting things to get are like heroes and like legendaries, I feel. And definitely. I'd be very, very happy with either of them. And just like Outsiders, I'm probably going to spend like 40 hours making this damn video and do all the animations. So you can rest assured, LSS, if you're listening, if you give me a hero or even a legendary, but if you give me like a hero or something, the video, I will try to make it as much of a banger as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even if it's just like, here's the text for Vincent, even though you've already seen the art, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Or Prism, but I have a feeling they're not going to give me. They're not going to give me Prism.
I would love Prism.
They would give.
It's not going to happen.
I'm going to be real here. They're going to give Prism to someone like the Professor, or like that's who gets Prism. Like,
yeah,
I would like Prism.
I'll get the Transmogrify reprint.
Yeah. Hey, maybe you'll get like Transmogrify 2.0. Maybe it does something.
Yo.
Maybe it transforms spectral shields into weapons or something for the turn. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, it turns a spectral shield into a rock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just
your opponent.
It's just a spectral boulder. It's just like a big see-through transparent boulder. Oh, that's good.
Virtual landslide. But yeah, one thing we do know about LSS is that they know their creators, they know what people like that are making videos and supporting their game and all that sort of thing. So, people that do get spoilers, I imagine it will be appropriate. Like you've got in the past, Kel, Burn Them All was just a funny Game of Thrones
Burn
reference.
Them All, sweet.
So even if it's not like a card for a class that the creator normally plays or showcases, they do think of funky ways to give stuff to people, which is good.
To also be fair, like we don't actually know the exact contents and breakdown of Dusk Till Dawn, if it's only going to be light and shadow. Like, we don't know if they're going to be like mostly light and shadow and then pepper in some other stuff here and there. Like,
Yeah.
it's a fairly unprecedented thing. And I remember James saying on record that it's different than all of the other supplemental or expansion sets. So we have like literally no idea what they're going to do. And it's a huge set. It's like 236 cards or something. Like, they can't all be shadow light cards. I mean, they could, but I mean, like, here's one thing to go on to that. We do know 100% there is a Dorinthia specialization in Dusk Till Dawn. James White said it at the interview.
I must have missed that then. That's cool.
Yeah, we 100% know that there is a new Dorinthia specialization in Dusk Till Dawn. Now, you can put your tinfoil hat on and be like, ooh, maybe they made Dorinthia a light hero, so now she gets like a light specialization.
Super Saiyan transformation, yeah.
But, I mean, even if that's not the case, like, just getting a light or just getting a new specialization is important. And that means that it opens the door for possibilities of other classes and whatnot getting it. So I think Dusk Till Dawn Breakdown will be like Dynasty. But instead of having a giant chunk of it being Assassin, you'll have a giant chunk of it being Light and Shadow. And then just a couple things for everyone else. Like, you know, here's your one Katsu card. Here's your one, you know, Azalea card. Here you go. Here's a couple things. And then the majority of the support will be for the other stuff.
Yeah, because we know surgical extraction is going to be in this as well, don't we? So that's another indicator that is going to be other random stuff in there as well. So
it's just getting basically slapped in because of the mix up in printing previously, which is fine. But I feel like we're probably going to see a chunk of light and shadow stuff, and then probably talented class cards like Light Warrior,
for sure.
Light Illusionist, Shadow, Runeblade, and Brute, and then probably untalented, like not generic, but generic class cards where it's like untalented Warrior, Illusionist, Brute, and Runeblade. I feel like that's just a really easy way to put the set together as well.
Yeah, I think so.
And I guess we don't know if there's going to be, you know, maybe there's another class that becomes a light class or a shadow class.
Yeah. That would be pretty spicy.
It'd be very spicy. Again, especially for just how big the set is. I think they could probably pull it off.
Getting a new light and a new shadow class of each would be like pretty insane, actually. I think that's like what a lot of people might think is going to happen, but I think that would be awesome, but like unlikely and insane. That's so much stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. I feel like it probably won't happen, but from what we know right now, it could be. It's on the table. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty safe to say like the 4 classes that were in Monarch are likely going to get direct support in Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, it makes sense, especially if they're tying it to the draft as well. Yeah. So,
it'd be funny if it was the 3 except Levia. No cards.
No Levia cards.
No octopus. But yeah, another spicy discussion point as well in this Dusk Till Dawn stuff. Before we move on to other stuff, is the serialized hand-drawn artist sketch cards. I've seen a few people be like, "Oh yeah, this is sick," but also some people are like, "Oh no, this is not good," because it's only available in Europe, North America, and Brazil. So not Southeast Asia, for instance.
Yeah, that's probably because they're going to be in Belgian print packs. They haven't come out and said it yet, but that's what that says to me, is that only Belgian print product will have this in it and not Japanese print product, which those are the regions where the Belgian print product goes to. What do you guys, before I start talking about this, I'm curious what you guys think about this, because I have, as someone who is an artist-proof collector, I have some thoughts on this, but I'm curious what you guys think about this.
Yeah, so the concern that I saw was from JYQ on Twitter. She's a local game store staff in Singapore, and it just means that for stores over there, why would they want to support their LGS when they've got more chance of getting a chase card from overseas product? So they're not they'll get their version, the Southeast Asia version or whatever, but will people want to buy that from the game store if they can just buy it from overseas to have the chance of getting the chase card or whatever? But and then I said to them that this sets a precedent where in the future maybe there's a Southeast Asia product that has special things in, but that also makes the same problem where we want to get it as well. We'll order it from overseas and not support our LGS either. So that's the thing with that. That's the whole conversation.
James White actually addressed that in the Q&A because someone brought it up.
Okay,
and he did say that he didn't give like an answer that everyone's gonna like. I'm pretty sure he said something along the lines of that Southeast Asia is already getting special stuff. Like they got the special Sigil of Solace promo. They got the special the Fate Foreseen promo, and then they will likely get more special stuff. So it's like he basically said that they're already getting special stuff, and that they will continue to get unique things to their region. And so like I said, I'm not sure if that's an answer that people want to hear, but that's what James said, and it's true.
Yeah.
Like we can't get that awesome Sigil of Solace promo without like importing it or buying it secondhand. So I don't know. I know I can see why they're doing it. Like I said, I think it's just because they're only putting this into the Belgium print, and that's likely because there's only 20 of these things, and they're just like, okay, it's all on the one print sheet. Here you go, and then it's the Belgian one, which is not a lot of confidence, by the way, because the Belgian manufacturer is the one that messed up Outsiders. Just saying, but. Well, so maybe
all of the artist sketch cards.
Someone opens the God box and it has all 20 of them in it, right?
Funny.
So for people who don't know, we should probably say what these are actually, because I don't think we've actually said what they exactly are.
No, we just sort of mentioned it, and then I went straight into the concern. So, what are they, Cal? What are they?
Okay, it's pretty simple, but also very interesting. So, they are a series of 20 serialized cards, 10 Chain Bound by Shadow, 10 Prism Sculptor of Arclight. So the original Chain and the original Prism, 10 of each. They're cold foil, they are serialized, and they are hand-drawn by the original artists, Livia Prima and Federico Musetti. And we know that they're going to be only in the Europe, NA, and Brazil, which, like I said, which means I think they're from the Belgian print packs.
Yeah.
What's interesting about these is that they are essentially artist proofs, sort of. So what an artist proof is, if you don't know what an artist proof is, it's a card that has a blank back and then like the regular card front, and these are given to artists, very limited quantity, almost as though they were serialized. Usually the artists, I think they get around 40 something. They might get more these days, but I have a bunch of artist proofs that are signed, and the artists serialize them. And that artists can draw on the back the blank sides of them, and they'll do like really awesome hand-drawn sketches. A lot of the times you can request what they are if you're like asking the artist directly, or sometimes they'll have them for sale. And to me, that's exactly what this is, except they are obviously pre-done. They're obviously serialized, but they're also cold foil, which tells me that I'm pretty sure these are playable. I think these are tournament legal cards, whereas artist proofs are not. And I think that's the biggest distinction between an actual artist proof and what these things are, is these things are going to be tournament legal, whereas artist proofs are not tournament legal. I'm very curious to see what these look like. I have a feeling it's going to be, the template is going to be a blank cold foil frame with that hero's border, like the frame and the border and all of the text and everything. And then the artist hand draws in the text box, which would have been blank previously. That's what I'm picturing that this thing looks like. Whereas an artist proof just has the one side that's completely blank, right? And I personally own like 30 something artist proofs, like sketches. I have a lot of them. I collect them. I think they're awesome. And I saw like a comment on I posted my video talking about all this kind of stuff, and then someone commented on the Facebook post, and they were like, oh, gross gross serialized cards, and I was just like, they're kind of just like artist proofs. And like honestly, if you just want an artist proof and you don't care about playability, just go ask the artist and get a custom made one for you, probably way cheaper than whatever these are going to be. Like they might not be cold foil, but like you just go ask your favorite artist and you get an artist proof. I have like legendary artist proofs. I have Fabled. I have a Federico Musetti Library of Solana artist proof that has like Prism on it. Like, so like at the end of the day, for me personally, they are what you make of it, but they feel to me just like playable artist proofs. And I already own like 30 artist proofs, and a lot of the times for the heroes, you can kind of play with them anyway, sort of, because they're tokens.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, because they're tokens. You can just say, do you mind if I play with my artist proof?
Yeah.
You know, and they're not going to say, no, F off, do one.
Yeah, like, and like, also like getting one directly from the artist supports that artist. Like, that's what the artist proofs are for, is for them to like, you know, make money to pay bills. A lot of, not even a lot. Most artists are not rich. They are just struggling to make do like everyone else. And their income is probably very spotty, because it's not like, I mean, I'm sure there's like some amount of regular income, but I doubt every artist gets commissioned to make the exact number of cards every single set, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I like supporting artists, and I think these things are weird. I think these are weird and interesting. And I really wonder how they're going to hold up in booster packs. Like, you're going to have this hand-painted thing like crammed into a random booster pack, right? You know, pumped through a machine, then shrink-wrapped, and then put into a pack. Like, yeah, no idea, man. Like, so anyway, that's what they are. What do you, if you guys would like to add any thoughts? I kind of took that over, I'm sorry.
I am not really a fan. Magic the Gathering started to do serialized cards, and I mean, I guess this is a much smaller scale than what Magic has done. Like in the most recent set, there's a bunch of cards that they just chose to be serialized, and they're like X of 500, and it's just a bunch of the random cards from the set. Like, it's not even just the mythics, it's also uncommons and whatever. So that's just what I immediately think of when I think of serialized cards, is this new thing. And watching people talk about these new serialized cards in Magic, it's never excitement that's like along with them. I mean, there is for the people that pull them, but then it's like, okay, now what? What do I do with these? Not all of them are sellable, not all of them are playable. So that feels bad. At least for these, we know that they are playable. Like, they're just the heroes. I guess technically the adult chain isn't playable until Living Legend format becomes a thing.
So same for Prism. They're both Living Legend, actually.
You're right. That's the whole idea. That's the reason for the set. But yeah. So I mean, I do think it's cool. I do definitely agree with the big question mark about snubbing like New Zealand. I know that was something that Flukenbox mentioned specifically. He's like, yeah, this feels kind of bad, because obviously it was spawned in New Zealand. And then, there's all the Southeast Asia support that they got that basically helped them through the pandemic, from what I saw.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm holding out hope that there's going to be something for this set specifically that will be like Southeast Asia exclusive, that they just kind of haven't mentioned yet. But
we can buy box promos. That's one of the parts about the pre-release, not the pre-release, but the release notes, is that there are going to be buy box promos. We literally don't know anything about them other than that they exist. And I'm pretty sure they're different than the Team Covenant kind of thing, because someone asked about it on Twitter, and the Twitter response was, from the official Flesh and Blood account, was more information about these will be released later. So It could be buy a box promos. I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that as well because I buy a lot of boxes. So
Hey, me too.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to see. I'm happy to see buy a box promos just to get some extra cool stuff.
Hey, I buy like 25 boxes for myself per set, so I'll take 25 promos. Thank you, please,
Yeah, easy peasy.
please, and thank you.
I love how this card game has got to that stage where every person needs to buy at least 20 boxes. It's
Nah, you don't have to.
absolute fucking madness.
Nah, see,
It's mandatory. If you're not, then you're not even playing the game properly.
You're not even playing. You don't exist.
no. So
Yeah.
like, it's a conversation we talk a lot about in my Discord. But a lot of folks, at least my Discord, will, just buy singles, buy like a box, just to have fun with it. If I wasn't like a full-time content creator, I'd probably only buy like. I'm a huge fan of the game, so I'd probably still end up buying like a couple cases. But that's because I'm like a diehard.
Yeah.
So I think it's totally reasonable to just to pick and choose. I think Bill and I are kind of like outliers in that we both really love the game and we're also insane. So yeah. And to be fair, I do make a lot of the money back because I do the supported box openings, and I do I usually sell all my like extra legendaries and stuff. Yeah. Though Outsiders was a little. I have not sold any of my extra Outsider stuff because I'm just coveting all my sweet Assassin and Ranger stuff. I'm like, it's mine. Don't touch it. These 3 Plague Hives are mine. Arr.
My precious.
Like I now own, because I've opened up 2 rainbow foils, and then I bought a cold foil from Jim, from FAB TCG Cards. Shout out to Jim. Obligatory once per episode shout out.
Oh yeah.
But I've opened up 2 rainbow foils, and I gave one to Jim to get Mark Poole to sign for me at the Pro Tour, and so I still have another one. I'm like, do I want to sell it, or am I just gonna keep it? I might just not sell it. I don't know. See,
Just hoard it. Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, Bill and I are outliers. Those of you watching, you do not need to buy 25 boxes of Flesh and Blood. You can buy like no boxes and singles and support your LGS or other places that sell singles, like the aforementioned FAB TCG Cards. And
unless you live in Southeast Asia and you want to try and get the serialized cards, then order 25 cases from overseas to try and get that.
Or you can just buy the serialized card. You can do that too. Or you can hire an artist proof to do a commission of a card that you really love and make it a personal thing. You can do that too.
Exactly. Yeah,
and those are like
better idea.
Way cheaper. Like, even for the fanciest ones I've ever done, they've all been less than $200, and I can guarantee you that these serialized cards are going to be worth way more than $200. Maybe add a 0 at the end of that, and then bump up the 2.
I think they're going to be in the range of gold foils.
I think they're going to
be with how few of them there are. I think that they're going to be huge.
Yeah, thousands. Like literally, I'm thinking like multiple thousands, because like the only game that I currently buy product for that has serialized cards is Grand Archive. And Grand Archive, the serialized cards, they were out of 70 or 75. I think it was out of 70. And those cards currently for a brand new game are selling for well over $1,000 a piece, depending on which one you got and what the number is. Even the crappy ones are over $1,000. So the Flesh and Blood ones are going to be a lot more than that, because Flesh and Blood is a game that's more popular, and these cards are going to be more rare because they're out of 10 per hero. So
yeah, I think they're going to be crazy.
I can already see the YouTube videos and thumbnails now. So we'll see.
But yeah, that's the main concern, because EV is one of those things that is floating around the internet. It's, what's the estimated value of this? And people always want to try and squeeze the most they can out of it, which is the concern, which was from JYQ, as well as, the Southeast Asia. Do they want to buy abroad and not support their stores because of the chance of getting the thing that's worth $2,000?
But there's only 20 in existence. Like, the odds of actually opening up one out of a print run of probably like 500,000 boxes, there's like 20 in 500,000 boxes or something. There's probably going to be something close to that, because we saw the print run numbers during Collector Week of the previous sets, and it's close to that for previous sets. and the game's more popular now, so you would guess there'd be more boxes. So like, I don't think you should factor. I don't think any sane person should factor in the price of these, 20 serialized cards into the overall EV of the set. That's like, it's like winning the lottery, man. Like, you can't factor winning the lottery into your paycheck. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, literally only 20 people in the world will ever own one of these. Probably less than that if someone buys more than one. So it's like, yeah. What my feelings on it is like, I think they're kind of cool, but also I just kind of don't care because like, there's only 20. I will likely not open up one. None of us will likely open up one. And also, it's a hero that's a living legend. You don't even need it. It's like not even It could be a playable game piece, but it's not a playable game piece that you need to play. Like, you can literally buy a token chain for like 25 cents. Or a token prism for 25 cents. Hell, you can buy a cold foil chain or a cold foil prism for that much. Hell, you could hire Livia Prima to draw you a prism for $250. They're like, so like, I don't think they matter all that much. I think people are gonna make a big deal out of them, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, I don't know. Like,
yeah, so it's definitely a conversation for people in the comments to get their thoughts on it as well. Because why would you not just print? Why would you just not have the Japanese printers print the same cards in there as well?
Well, because they're not printed. They're hand drawn. They're drawn by hand, like onto the cards. So like, they would have to draw more.
I see. Right. Okay.
Like, so they would have to either split it and like, I don't know, fly half of them to the Japanese printer and then fly the other half to the Belgian printer, and then like, then you would know that this side only has these numbers like 1 through 5, and then this side only has these numbers like 6 through 10 or something. Like, it's going to be messy either way because the way they're doing it. It's like literally like hand drawn, unique. And so in each art's unique, by the way, too. So it's like, it's not just like the same thing. It's not like Magic, where Magic is literally like minimum effort. Like, here's here's the card, just stamp the thing on it, and the stamp says 1 out of 100, and this stamp says 2 out of 100. It's like literally unique hand drawn art. Like I said, it's like it's like an artist proof sketch.
Yeah, so it's not like the art has been drawn and then superimposed, like printed onto the card. It's actual pen and paper, essentially. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh well. Yeah. So like, I couldn't care either. If I was to get something, I would do exactly what you said and just get a personalized thing for whatever. But if you pull one, great. But yeah, you're probably not going to.
There's 20. Like I said, if the print runs like close to 500,000, like what's 20 out of 500,000? Like,
yeah.
If you're buying boxes to open up them, you're insane, or you're filthy rich, or both.
It's going to be pretty low percentages that you'll even see one of these.
Yeah, you might not even ever see one in person, like, unless someone has one at a tournament or something.
Literally, it's about the same conversion rate as my record in CC in events.
But and here's the other thing: you'll never ever see anyone play with one outside of the Living Legend format too, because they're both LL and they're the adult versions. So like, you can't even play them in UPF or anything, or you can and just be like, hey, I'm playing with this, but it's the young version or whatever. Like, but what I'm saying is like they're not even like, I don't know, like they're not even cards that you could like roll up with at the Pro Tour and like slam it down and you're like, oh, look at me, I'm major flex, because they're like not even legal. Like, no. So I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's a weird thing that they're doing. I think it's cool and weird, and it feels like an experiment for the 10th, because this is their 10th set. James made a big point of making it out that like this is their 10th set, and they want to do something special for it.
Yeah.
And this is what they talked about for the collectors. And, at the end of the day, if all the investors and collectors want to fight each other over these, that makes it better for like the rando dude who pulls one, in like Kansas, and he can just flip it to a collector for like $10,000 or whatever. And then he's good to go. Like,
It's good to
Yeah.
go.
There's rent paid for like half the year or whatever, or
Just having
depending
a
on when you
whale
live,
of a
like a couple
time.
months. But you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let us know
I'm
in the
excited
comments
to
below.
see who posts one first and how soon it is after the release.
I-
that's gonna
I will
some-
be.
that's cool stuff.
I'll be
Yeah,
ecstatic if anyone I know opens one. Let me put it that way. Not just if I open one. If anyone I know opens one, I will be like ecstatic for them. Like,
I mean, yeah, there's a good chance in there. I mean, how many people do we sort of know through association? You know, just from being in this content creation sphere. If there's probably going to be someone. Surely, the amount of people we know.
I don't know. 20 out of
I don't know.
20 is a very small number. Like it's not 20
only
per. It's like just
person-
20 total.
The only person that I know that's pulled Marvel Emperor is Steven.
Yeah, Steven.
He's the only one that I know of. And I also I don't think I know anybody who's opened a Marvel or a Fabled CNC. I have not.
Oh, Steven also opened up a Fabled CNC.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He did, yeah.
He's going to be the one to get one of 10.
Ian.
chain.
I think Ian also opened up a Fabled CNC, and I think he immediately flipped it. So Ian also opened up one. I have not even. I opened up 2 Rainbow Foil Plague Hives, which is sweet, but I have not opened up a Cold Foil Fabled or better since Monarch. Oh, hey, now's the time. Now's the time, right?
Yeah.
Like the last Cold Foil Fabled I opened was the first edition library, and since then I've actually bought all of mine. I have actually not opened up a Fable at all up until Outsiders, which I opened up too. So that's luck. That's luck for you.
Pretty good going.
But
Nice.
yeah, it is interesting. Is there any other? I feel like there's some things that were talked about that we haven't mentioned yet over the weekend.
Well, there was the 3 major tournaments.
Oh yeah, duh.
Which we're calling
yes.
Battle Hardened.
Of course.
3 tournaments, 3 different heroes won, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll go over those as well. I think then we can probably start to wind down because I think we're running up on an hour and a half. I think now almost 2 hours once we're done this probably.
Yeah,
but,
this one was always going to be a little bit longer than usual. Well, that's average anyway, isn't it? Average length.
It's pretty average, yeah.
Yeah, this is what we
average
usually
girth.
What we usually do. But yeah, so for let's start with the Pro Tour. It was a really long match between Michael Fang,
Michael Fang,
yeah.
and Mara Ferris, Oldhim and Dromai. It was really good. Michael ended up taking it home with Oldhim. And I think even in the interview afterwards, he was like, I don't think Oldhim's broken. I just wanted to play him.
Yeah. Well, I think Michael has a lot of experience playing Oldhim too. And it's like one of those situations where the hero's really good, but he also knows it like by heart. And I will say this. I know both. Well, I've met both Michael and Mara before. And I've had like lunch with Mara at the Pro Tour. Mara's very, very lovely. I was very much rooting for her, but also Michael is a nice guy. Like he's genuinely a really nice dude. So I was very happy to see both of them in the finals. I was rooting for Mara for multiple reasons. I like Michael, but I like Mara as well. And she's playing Dromai, and then also Oldhim can suck it. So I was just like, I hope Mara wins with Dromai. That would be awesome. But
it's a double-edged sword, though, isn't it? Because you also want Michael to win, so Oldhim gets the hell out of here as well.
Or he can just be he can just be so crappy that no one ever plays him again. How about that?
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I personally thought it was cool. Like I loved seeing Mara and Michael in the top 2, and there was a lot of like awesome like sportsmanship, and it was just really really cool to see. And
literally on the stream, like as soon as Michael won, the pulverize was the thing that basically said I win, essentially, because Mara just had a bunch of 2 blocks in her hand and leaked 6 damage as a result of that, 14 damage, isn't it? But yeah, when the game was over, Michael was obviously ecstatic, and Mara was just like, straight away just clapping him, and it's just like the whole vibe was great, and then Michael just a little bow towards Mara as well. It's just like the whole sportsmanship was just fantastic, really, to see that. And even the match between Brody and Mara, they were just like chatting and having a laugh while they were playing, you know, and it's obviously a high stakes event. So it's just like to see that in this level was good. That people were still having fun, even at these stakes, you know.
Those are the kind of people that I like seeing representing the highest levels of play in Flesh and Blood. It's a good image for the game, and so exactly. And also they're great people, and so they you know deserve to win. They put a lot of hard work into it. I would also like to note for the top 8, there was a crap load of Ranger. I think there was was it 4 Lexis and an Azalea, and then
4 out of 8. Yeah. Sorry, 4. Yeah, that's right. 5 out of 8. Yeah, geez.
Yeah, and then
it was 4 Lexis, 1 Azalea, 1 Oldhim, and 2 Dromai.
Which is awesome.
Pretty mixed.
Only 1 Ice Hero. Well, I guess technically Lexi's an Ice Hero, but a lot of people don't play Ice Lexi all that much. It's more of like it's more of like
3 of a kind Rain Razors.
Yeah, my style of Lexi that I've been
God turns
that I've been championing for like
on is fuseless Lexi.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, my style's meta now. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. Bloody Voltaire is ridiculously powerful.
It's good. It's good.
The funny thing is, as well, though, like obviously Michael won, but the story was he was actually going to take Lexi to the event, but he lent his deck to Brody, his Lexi deck to Brody.
Oh yeah.
So and then he ended up playing Oldhim, his obviously the most experienced deck that he's played, and he won. I think they're part of the same team, Michael and Brody.
Yeah, they're part of the Wolfpack.
That's it.
It's the one that like Zach Bunn and a bunch of other people are on. Michael Hamilton as well. I like rooting for that team, by the way, once again, just because I've met a lot of those people and they're really nice people. And but more importantly, this proves that Ranger is a top tier class now. Ranger is one of the best classes in the game. If the Pro Tour had 5 out of 8 of them being Ranger, which is pretty sick. Anyone who's watched my channel for any amount of time knows that I've been championing Ranger ever since. I literally have a giant Lexi print signed by Federico. This one also is serialized. This is 2 out of 10. It's personally it's awesome to see, especially awesome to see the archetype that I have been like championing for a very long time, like the no fuse Lexi, for well over a year plus. I'm currently on like the 3rd or 4th iteration of mine. I played in Blitz, but still.
Yeah.
So I was very happy to see. I even tweeted about like how Ranger is one of the top classes in the game now, and then like James White liked it. I'm like yeah. Like just a nice like show of approval. It's like
great to see.
I feel like it's like our time now until Dusk Till Dawn comes out and we get destroyed by Arclight Sentinel. But
and then it's my time.
You know what's real bad against Go Wide Lexi? Arclight Sentinel, because you draw a bunch of cards and you have a huge hand, and then you attack, and then they Arclight Sentinel, and then you pass your turn. Because then you're sad. Well, what you do is you instant speed, load Voltaire, and then you have to have a face-up card. Loads of full-up. Yes, you'd have to basically load Voltaire and then arsenal your second card, so at least you can have something for the next turn. But you'll still be very sad.
It's fine, because if Prism comes back into the meta, you just play Blink.
You could actually, you could actually play Blink. Yeah, that would actually work, which is hilarious. So
another thing as well about this top 8 as well is that I think both Jake Warburton, who is from the UK, and Matt Folks, who are both from the UK, could have probably progressed further if it wasn't for absolute Ranger brick situation.
Play Ranger.
Jake had his foot on the gas the entire time against Michael Feng in the first round here. Of the elimination, and he was essentially keeping him off of his arsenal so he couldn't use Crown of Seeds. So that was through inertia tokens, seeking destroy. He also had a lot of sedation shots in the deck as well, which I think is quite good, rather than the typical infecting, because obviously Oldhim likes his arsenal and Crown of Seeds and what have you. But yeah, and then Jake had to resort to a blind Azalea because he had no arrows. And what he blind Azalea'd into was a knock the death whistle, which is garbage. Because if you play that, you can't even then get the card that you've got because you've activated Azalea already, right? Unless you're using Sanskar, which is another tale for this weekend because there's a top 8 Sanskar list in Calling. And then similar to that as well, Matt Folks had to activate his Quiver of Rustling Leaves, and he put a Battering Bolt into his arsenal, which was his only popper that he needed the next turn against the Dro My Onslaught of Yuha. So yeah, a lot of bricking Ranger stuff going on as well.
Hey, us Ranger veterans know how it is, man. Like
exactly.
Live by the Ranger, die by the Ranger. It's just part of the territory, right?
It's one of those things, yeah.
Just happens, yeah. Playing 3 of a kind, play 3 of a kind, draw 2 Art of Wars and like a Rain Razors. It's like, oh, awesome.
Yeah, you Art of War, you're one bad attack away into another Art of War and a buff card. And you're like, okay, cool.
Yep, that's great. Just what I wanted. So that's what happens.
Yeah, that was great to see. I was pretty much watching the whole thing on Sunday, in and out of cooking dinner and doing live things. I had it on in the background. But yeah, great stuff. Cass and team did a good job as well, of course.
I was following along on social media, but also along on the live blog post that they were doing. I wanted to mention this real quick before we get into it, but Flesh and Blood was doing a live blog on their website where they were just updating it, frequently throughout the event for all of the events. So Battle Hardened, Pro Tour, and the Calling, and it was really cool. And I hope they continue to do stuff like this in the future. They would post like pairings and post standings and post like the meta breakdown and all this kind of cool stuff on the official Flesh and Blood website. And so I think it was mostly Alex doing that. I'm not sure, but whoever was doing that, you did a great job, and you should do it more.
Not everyone can watch the stream like all constantly. So having that written form that you can just check in every now and again is very good. Yeah,
it's like the next level type stuff that I think just helps elevate Flesh and Blood as a game. Like just having small stuff like that more often takes it from being like this little indie thing to like, I don't know, like I don't want to say more professional, but just makes it more polished. Just makes the experience of being a fan that much better. And so it's good. Definitely. Good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. And then just to go over the other 2 events. So for the Calling itself, we had Merrick Kemp take it home on Dash.
Yeah, Dash, let's go.
Which is pretty nice, especially considering I cut off the 8th person, so I can't quite tell what the last person was. I just took a screenshot of the standings. But we had at least 3 Oldims, 2 Rangers again. We had an Azalea and Alexi.
Hell yeah.
And then we also had a Viscera, Zach Bunn on Viscera.
Hell yeah, dude. I was very much rooting for Zach, not only because he's playing Viscera, but once again, I tend to root for the people I know. So I have had Zach on my channel as a guest, and he's just a nice dude, and I like him. So I was very much rooting for him, especially playing the Dark Horse hero. Dash still ended up winning, which was super cool. So I was very happy to see Dash win in the sea of Oldims. So I'm down.
She beat 2 Oldims like to get to the final there as well against Alexi, which was crazy.
First win against Oldham was against Matt Rogers, and then in the semis, it was against Dave Lynn. So just crunched through some Oldims to eventually boost through flighty Electric Ranger.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to know because obviously there's no calling coverage at this event, so I don't know what kind of list it was. I imagine it was maybe some sort of pistol situation because I don't think Oldham likes that, or maybe it's something else. I don't know, but I don't really know Dash too well, but I know a few people that play her. But
I don't know.
See what that list was.
I hope it was like some Hanabi Blaster build, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I love Hanabi Blaster. That gun's sweet.
T-Bone!
Janky weirdness.
Yeah, it's so good. But I would like to note that Alexi did make it to the finals. with Taylor playing Lexi in the finals against Dash. My girl Lexi didn't make it, but hey, if Lexi's not going to win, like Dash getting there is super, super cool. And I would also like to point out that this calling, I think, had over 900 people playing. So this was not a small tournament. This was a huge tournament with top-level players like Matt Rogers here in the top 8. So this wasn't like a pushover event. This was like a marquee event where a lot of the best players in the world are already there. A lot of people who scrubbed out of Pro Tour Day 1 played in this. So I know it's a small sample size, but a showing of both like Zach playing Viserai, we also like we said Dash, and then Jacob playing Azalea, and I think this is what Az was alluding to earlier. I believe they were playing a Sanskar Grepo Azalea.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, so
Which-
I think they're going to be doing a video on, I think his channel is Card Advantage, so I think they're going to be doing a breakdown of that, but I'm very interested to see what that is, because for the longest time, Azalea has just been, Death Dealer, Death Dealer, Death Dealer, but Sanskar Greatbow, you know, is one of those things that inherently puts aim counters on stuff from either the Azalea ability or the bow ability, so that you know, squeezing the value out of the aim counters, which is what I tried to do in the skirmish season thing, was maybe something along the same lines as what Jacob's doing here in CC, which could be a good thing to look at. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that is.
Yeah, and I think this is another thing we talked about in my Discord, but I think this helps prove that Sandscour is a legit option. And some people are like, oh, it's a small sample size. That's true. I do think that's true. But I also would like to reiterate that this was a 900-person calling with a lot of participants from the Pro Tour who scrubbed out day 1 against, you know, other people at the top of the game like Matt Rogers. So
yeah,
not an easy feat to get to top 8 in this calling, like, at all. So yeah, I think that's super cool.
Good tidings.
And
had to run hot the whole time.
you have your deck. It's interesting because Rangers are really easy to whiff, right? So when you see a deck like, you know, heroes like Lexi and Azalea now who are, you know, being able to be more consistent, you can see like the actual power of the Ranger class, because it's like, it's solid. I think I've said this a lot, but the things holding Ranger back have been inconsistency and a lot of 2 blocks, to be honest.
Yeah.
And if they
I think Sanskar gives you that as well. Because, like, for instance, if Jake had a Sanskar Greatbow, if he Azalea'd the Knock the Death Whistle into his arsenal and then played the Knock the Death Whistle, he could go get the arrow to the top of his deck, then use Sanskar to get that arrow into the arsenal with a name counter on it, and then fire it still. So that Sanskar gives you so much more selection, but just not as much inherent power of drawing like a 0-cost buff off the top, playing it, and then firing it. But it gives you more selection and focus as to what you want to get.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be a nice thing to explore. So fair play to Jacob for doing that.
It's got hidden value.
Yeah.
Hidden value ranch. Okay, I'm done.
Yep.
Yeah, and then wild and wonderful news in the Blitz world, because for the battle-hardened Icelander ended up taking it home. That was Dylan Dietz.
Yep.
And something that's very interesting to know is that of the top 8, 6 of the spots are now banned heroes. Because there were 5 Icelanders, 1 Oldhim, and then a Prism and a Kano.
Yeah. God,
so
this looks so miserable, by the way. I just want to point out how miserable this top 8 looks. Like, like all these heroes are like some of the worst to play against. You have like all of the Icelanders, the 1 Oldhim, the 1 Kano, and the 1 Prism. And I just look at this and I'm like, I don't want to play any of these people. Like, I don't want to play any of this. This looks no.
Yeah.
It's like Storm Striders, the format, essentially.
Yeah,
basically.
like hope he got AB. Hope he got AB, man.
Yeah.
Storm Striders versus an unmovable object versus Prism.
Versus just the devil, essentially. Or the angel.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, for those of you who don't know, as of the end of this weekend, I guess effectively today, as we're filming this, May 1st, Oldhim and Icelander are now living legended in Blitz. Get them out of here. Really not sad to see either of them go, really.
Neither am I.
I played in all 3 of the skirmishes that were local here, and played against a lot of Icelanders. They were basically my only losses because I wasn't also playing Icelander. But yeah, in the final one, in the third skirmish, I was playing Chain, and I actually got to the finals.
Nice.
Completely undefeated against 3 Icelanders, and then played against an Icelander in the finals and lost to him.
I just thought, like, you're playing Chain, another totally fair and balanced hero.
Oh yeah, super. I was hitting at least 2 blood debt cards every turn.
Oh god.
So when every turn is just you get to play with a 7-card hand, it was great.
Yeah.
Deck felt unlosable.
Hey, you know what? You know what I like about Chain though? The difference between Chain and like Oldhim. Chain, at least he's gonna kill you and not make it take like 2 hours. It's gonna be over. Like
the matches were, I'm pretty sure in the first game that I played against the first Icelander in that last one, I think I went, it was like an attack for 10 with Go Again into Revel in Runeblood plus Rosetta for 8.
Yeah.
That's
So I was just like, present lethal against this Icelander. Have fun.
Wow.
I do like playing as Icelander, but Icelander's, I'm not sad to see her go. She can hang out in UPF where people can gang up on her and kill her there.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's a healthier situation for her in general.
Yeah. By the way, common rule in UPF: kill the wizard. That's just a rule. It's part of the 10 tenets of the pit fight. One of them, kill the wizard.
Kill the wizard. Yeah.
Well, because they can hit anybody, and that's just breaking the rules of UPF. So.
Yeah, I mean, like we played a UPF game where Steven like blasted everyone for 7 arcane damage on turn 1. So
Yeah. It's, what is it? Sonic Boom is each opponent.
It was Chain Lightning. So
was it? Yeah. I think it was Chain Lightning. You're right.
Because I think it does base 3 to everyone, and then he like pumped it up with some shenanigans.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just wild stuff.
He did like 21 damage turn 1. Cool.
That was fun times.
Yeah. And then we're like, kill him. Like, enemy spotted. Get him. Yeah. But, I do like, other than the battle hardened here, I do like the diversity in the Pro Tour and in the calling here, because you had heroes like Dash and Viserai put up like numbers, man. Like they did really well. And then like same with Dromai. A lot of people were down on Dromai. There obviously some Dromai diehards like Mara, but like there are other people who are like, oh, Dromai sucks, like unplayable. And to see Dromai get to the finals, and then to see like Dash win, Viserai get to semis, like it's cool. I think there's like a lot of, I think CC Flesh and Blood right now is very open. I think there's a lot of options. Like if you want to play CC, you can either play the Rangers, not Riptide though, any of the non-Riptide Rangers, but you can play Oldhim, you can play Dromai, you can even play Viserai, Dash, other heroes that are good that didn't make it in the top, but you can play like Briar or like there's like a wide swath of viable heroes and classes currently in CC Flesh and Blood, and I think it's awesome. Like it's probably one of the most open formats I've seen in card games in a very long time. Because even though we do have 2 Rangers like Azalea and Lexi, they're playstyles very, very different. So yeah, it's sweet. I think there's like minimum 8-ish viable decks that could win any given event. So
yeah, and I like how it's sort of evolving as well, because obviously historically we've had in these sort of top level events have been mainly talented heroes because they got the larger card pools. But in this, you can see that obviously Azalea is coming through as a original class, and then obviously in the calling we've got Viserai as the original Runeblade, Azalea as the original Ranger, Dash as the obviously only Mechanologist.
Yeah.
Which I think is better as the stuff gets expanded.
This is Arcane Rising was a really good set, by the way. All 3 of those are from Arcane Rising. Yeah. There's only, in the calling, it's only Arcane Rising and Tales of Aria Heroes. It's just those 2.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny.
That is cool.
It's good. Hey,
Yeah.
Arcane Rising's been my favorite set for a long time.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Outsiders might have beaten it, but still, I think it's funny.
It's the OG favorite, and it's the OG love letter essentially.
Oh yeah, we talked about it earlier. You talked about like buying cases, but like Arcane Rising is the very first set in any card game where I bought cases of. Previously, even for Magic, playing Magic for close to 30 years, minus the last several. I never bought cases for Magic. I'd buy like a box or two and then singles, like a box or two just to have fun, and then singles. But Arcane Rising was the first time I bought multiple cases of any card game. So
Yeah.
Flesh and Blood is the first time I've bought cases of anything either. Because like I bought
Same.
a bunch of packs and boxes of whatever of Magic, but it would only ever be like a box or two boxes.
Yep.
Because a case was like, depending on the set you were looking at, it was like $600 or something. And it's not that much better in Flesh and Blood. I'm not saying that it's like infinitely cheaper to buy a case, but it is cheaper. So
yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so that's sort of a broad overview of the tournaments that happened over the weekend. Once again, really, really happy with how the top eights panned out, because I think I think there are a lot of people. I think Lexi was the most, the hero with the most amount of representation. It was like it's high 70s or 80 of the people from the Pro Tour were playing Lexi.
I'm here for it.
It was the number one, so it makes sense that a bunch of them got to the end, but it wasn't guaranteed. So obviously the deck does still have legs. So that's great to see.
I wanna bring up a comment by Bryn from the Banish Zone. This is for people who weren't able to go to the event. And I'll bring up what she says after you're done talking. But I just wanted to, before we move on to the next bit, I want to say what she said about the event, because I think it's really important. So go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. No, that's all good. I was basically just gonna say I like the CC meta, kind of like what you were saying. I think it is pretty open, which is nice. There are heroes that people have been saying, aren't great or won't, won't be competitive, that we see making it into these top eights of these like really skill heavy tournaments. Like getting to the top eight of the Pro Tour and the Calling, either one takes like a lot of skill. It's not just luck at that point.
I'm pretty sure, like literally the best players in the world played at the Pro Tour. Like it might as well just been the World Championship. Like literally all the best players I can think of were there. All of the previous Pro Tour winners, most of the Calling winners. Yeah. So like I think these are really good indications of where Flesh and Blood is currently.
Definitely. And I'm really also happy to see the Battle Hardened went the way that it did, because this is the last time that it'll happen like that.
Oh god. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. Yeah. The Battle Hardened is
playing either stupid heroes or just chain. So.
just play Aagaard. I'm just gonna keep playing. Actually, so Lexi has been my love for Blitz for the longest time. Still is, but also I've been enjoying Arachne Solitary Confinement too. Like either way, I want to go aggro, but Arachne is cool. I get to go aggro with my favorite class now, Assassin.
I think Arachne is very cool, and I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah, Solitary Confinement's sick, dude. So
what was the comment that Bryn had?
Yeah, so she wrote, this is on Twitter, she says, "This was the best Flesh and Blood event I've been to by far. I've complained a bit about the venues and the organization of events in the past, but this was above and beyond better. The venue, the pricing, the aesthetic touches, the panels really leveled up this time. LSS should be so proud." And so I think that is a good encapsulation of the event for folks like us who were not able to go to get the general vibe, because this is a vibe that I've seen from many people. That this was like an amazing event, and I genuinely hope this is a sign of things to come, because I thought the events before were pretty good. I've been to most of the big ones in the US, and so hearing this is fantastic, and it has me pretty hyped actually for stuff like nationals, which I probably won't be going to, but I think nationals in places like the US Nats and even Canadian Nats and stuff, hopefully they're going to be like as good as this. So yeah, huge shout to LSS, and also like if we're gonna shout out folks for this, and I doubt any of them are watching it, but the people at Star City Games, because they're the people who hosted this. So big shout out to the Star City Games folks who put the event together. So it's really cool. And there was like well over 1,000 people at the event. There were 900 plus signed up for the calling alone, not including all the side events and not including the other people, in Pro Tour. So there's probably like, I don't know, 1,200 to 1,700 people total, maybe. Might be overestimating a little bit, but around there, which is like pretty good for a game that no one plays, right?
Yeah, nobody plays it at all.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to point that out because her comment like stuck with me, which is pretty great. So
that's
I
good.
think that this specific event is just a sign of good things to come for events going into the future, because obviously they're paying a lot of attention to.
We didn't mention this yet. We still don't know when Worlds is going to be. So that is a thing that they announced. I suspect it's because they haven't officially signed off on the venue, right? James did give hints. He said something about a city with a lot of lights or whatever. People can speculate on that, for whatever you'd like. But my guess is, I mean, like literally the only reason I can think of for them not announcing it when they said they were going to announce it, which was Worlds, is that they just haven't signed off on the venue and they don't want to tell people and then have to change. Like they don't want to say like, oh, we're going to Italy or whatever, and then have to be like, oops, JK, you have to cancel your flights now. We're really going to, Vienna or whatever. Like, so they have to be like literally 100% sure on it before they can say it. And so I imagine that's why. But we still don't know.
Still waiting on confirmation of that. But obviously, if Bryn's comment is anything to go by, Worlds is going to be absolutely sick.
Yes.
Really looking forward to it.
I don't remember where I heard it, so maybe I shouldn't say. But I'll say vaguely. I've heard that they have huge plans for Worlds, and that they want to make it into. I think this was publicly said. They want to make it into like an immersive experience. Like they want to make it so you're entering the world of Wraith.
Baby.
I
you
think
can go
it's
to like the Volcor section, the pit section.
Just imagine because I think Dusk Till Dawn will just have come out, right? Or maybe the next set's coming. I'm just trying to think about the timing of this. But imagine like they make it so it's like it looks like the gates of Solana. So you're like walking into the into the main drag of Solana or whatever. It could be so cool. Like
we will all be there as well for that.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this now or in the future, we will all be there for wherever that is. We have confirmed that already. So even more reason for you to go as well. So you can come and say hi to us. For
all the people, I apologize too, but a lot of people messaged me about like being at Pro Tour. They're like, "Oh, hey, where are you at Pro Tour? I want to come say hi." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not there." And I also had Pheno Black message me, and he's like, "Hey, man, you want to come get dinner on Sunday?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not there. Like, I'm not at Pro Tour." And like Steven told me that a lot of people asked where I was, and then Jim also. A lot of people came up to Jim and asked him where I was. So I wasn't there. But like as said, I do 100% plan on being at Worlds. I'm already going through the process of getting my passport all squared away, and so
baby,
it's probably going to be really expensive, to be honest, because it's probably just going to be like a for fun event. For a lot of us actually, but if I have to sell some of my like cold foils to make it work, then I'm gonna make it work. So I'm fully expecting it to be like a couple $1,000s at least cost for me, like just out of pocket. Yeah, it's got to be. But I think it's something that I really don't want to miss. So
exactly, as soon as we know where it is as well, we can really sort of iron out the logistics of how we're going to do it all. So
yeah, like. Ian really is really on it too. So what it's looking like, depending on what you guys got going on, Ian we're thinking about like a road trip kind of thing where we're like maybe we all fly into London, meet Az, and then make a week out of it. Maybe Az can show us some cool places in the UK before we head elsewhere into Europe.
Yeah.
We can be like, yo, Az, show us the cool shit. Which is funny because I thought about this and I'm like assuming that like cool places to go, but that would also be like you coming here and assuming that I know the cool places in like New York, and I'm like, I don't know New York. Like, I can show you around Portland a little bit, but not that much.
Luckily, the UK is fairly small in comparison to everywhere else, right? So it's normally within distance to get somewhere easily for the cool stuff. But yeah, we'll all be there. So we're just obviously waiting on bated breath as to where that's going to be announced. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, and
exactly.
I imagine since they basically haven't asked me to do coverage since the first Pro Tour, they will probably not ask me to do coverage here. So I'm probably just going to be doing it for fun and just kind of hanging out, which is it's good and bad. It's good in that I'll be more free to do whatever the hell I want. Bad because it's gonna cost me like $2,000 like everyone else. It's gonna be really expensive. But it means we can hang out and just do cool stuff. So yeah,
exactly.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good time. I'll get to meet a bunch of people that I've never gotten a chance to meet before. So including you guys in person.
Yeah, I'm not going to bring my laptop or anything, but I would still like to do like a Living Legends Abroad like episode, maybe even 2 episodes depending on how it lines up. I think it'd be really cool to do like 1 episode like before the Pro Tour, and then depending on how much time we have, like not Pro Tour, Worlds, either like during Worlds or like after it or something, just to have like these cool special like podcast episodes. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe
that'd be sick.
At the very least, maybe I could just do it on my phone. Just do like I don't know what you'd call it. Just a cinema verite rebel shot. Just kind of just hold the phone like this for like an hour and a half. Like, we'll make it work.
Easy.
Yeah, we'll just
stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
There's gonna be a lot of cool content coming out of that. Loads of stupid videos, I imagine, captured on GoPro as well. So yeah, gonna be good. But
before
it's been a long one.
Is there any other topics? I think we covered most of the things. I'm trying to think of important stuff that James might have said. I don't remember. I made a video about it, but I don't remember. I took notes. So what I did is I watched the keynote, and then I watched the Q&A, and I literally wrote down a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to talk about in my recap video.
I'm sure people will let us know if we've missed anything massively important. But if you want to hear more details on all that stuff, you can go watch my recap video, and then I believe Mansant streamed it. So if you want to watch it raw, which is fairly long, but if you want to watch it raw, they're over on his YouTube channel too. So but I try to pick and choose like the interesting things, all juicy bits. Lovely old job.
Anyway, I don't know if either of you have anything for the Arsenal step. I don't really, but if either of you have something that you would like to mention.
I did, but I did, but I forgot. Like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, I have a good one for the Arsenal step, but I think I completely forgot. Oh man, Az, do you have anything?
It's sort of flesh and blood related, but I finally got around to creating my character. So I had Dead Summer Art on the other day. It was just basically me and him just chatting through making the character for the campaign. So that's fully fleshed out now.
Good.
Got my character sorted at last. So yeah, just really looking forward to that. Seems like he's put a lot of work into it. Awesome. So can't wait to do that. That's about it, really.
I think it's just me then.
I think we can probably get that done this month then. It sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Basically, once I get a deadline, that'll help me.
What we should do is we'll set a time after this podcast, after this recording, we'll set a time to do a session 0, and then hammer everything out, and then finalize whatever else you need to finalize, Bill, on your character.
Yeah.
And we can just knock it all out during the session 0, and then from there plan the actual date. We'll likely record this for listeners out there. We'll likely record this. I don't know if we're going to stream it. Probably not. I think an edited recording might be better. Because it'll be more immersive. We don't like it's just breaks the immersion, like chatting to chat while you're trying to be in character. But I want to have a version available for the audio listeners too, because it's essentially Living Legends plus Dead Summer art. So it will likely be a bonus episode of Living Legends, not a normal weekly thing. Is what I'm thinking.
I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, and it's called Escape from Southmaw, I think is what it's called.
That's right.
So
yeah. It's going to be a good one, and I think it also does a tribute to audio listeners as well, because it is like a story being acted out essentially with us rolling dice for certain things. So it's definitely going to be an audio experience as well. He's remembered.
Yeah, sort of. I don't know if this is what I was going to talk about. So Robin was away on vacation the last week or so, and so I just kind of binged a couple things that I heard were good but never watched before. And one of them, the D&D thing, reminded me, because it is D&D related. I watched all of Vox Machina, or the animated one, The Legend of Vox Machina, and it's very, very good. I highly recommend it. It does feel like a D&D campaign. Apparently they used it's like literally the first whatever many story arcs of the actual Vox Machina Critical Role thing. I don't know. I've never watched Critical Role. And as someone who's never watched Critical Role, I thought it was a lot of fun, and the characters are great. And
that's good, then.
It did very D&D stuff where each character gets their own time to shine, their own story beats, and their own focus, which is really, really cool. And then I also watched Arcane, finally. I'd never seen Arcane before. Ooh. Finally watched Arcane. Also very, very good. Very serious compared to Vox Machina. Vox Machina had a serious tone. I would say Vox Machina has like a Game of Thrones but kind of silly vibe, where like people will die and get their heads exploded, and just like people get effed up in Vox Machina, and like main characters get effed up, like Game of Thrones. But it's also still kind of like a cartoony kind of, they make dick jokes and stuff, you know. Whereas Arcane is not. Arcane is very serious. It is like a drama almost, you know.
Arcane is really good.
Very stylized. I'm just trying to describe it for people who don't even, if you haven't seen it and you don't want just people saying, "Oh, it's really good." It is really good, but I think it's really good because of the storytelling, the character development. It's very, very stylized, or stylish and flashy when it needs to be. The animation is really unique. It's got this weird painterly CG kind of thing going on. And if you don't know anything about League of Legends, cool, because you don't need to know anything about League of Legends. You don't even need to know that it is based off of League of Legends stuff, to be honest, because that doesn't matter.
It's based around League of Legends lore, but
it's like
not knowing anything.
Stuff.
Actually, not knowing anything about League of Legends kind of makes it better.
I like played League of Legends back when it was in beta. Like I played League of Legends when I was in college. I haven't played in many, many years. So I used to play League of Legends quite a bit. And so there's like a lot of characters that I don't recognize that are new. Like one of the main characters is a character called Jace. And I remember him coming out in the game and him being a new character. And so like I knew some stuff about him, but like seeing the lore and stuff, I don't know. It's very good. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's like 8 or 9 episodes, each of them like 40 minutes long. And I very, very much am looking forward to the next season. Same with Vox Machina. I'm very, very much looking forward to the next season of that as well. So that's what that's my arsenal stuff. Very good shows. Yeah. If you have time to watch them, you won't regret it. I think they're fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely. With that being said, I think we can probably wrap this one up. This has been a good chat about Dusk Till Dawn and various tournaments that have been going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, as always, for those of you who hung out all the way till the end, lovely old job.
Yes.
And Yeah, as a sign off, I am Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find me on Twitter at BillTSF. You can also find me on YouTube at Spike Feeders Fab. We currently have a series with a local friend of mine named Jay going through the Goliath Gauntlet, and I am playing the challenging deck, which is weird. Normally, I'm the one who plays the actual gauntlet, so you should definitely go check that out. The first episode is a really good one. It's
You're playing Azalea, aren't you?
It is Azalea, yeah.
Yeah,
So
boy.
for those of you who are interested in that, definitely go check it out.
Absolutely.
And once again, alphabetically, I will throw it over to Az. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, so Az from Go Again Gaming, so on YouTube, and then Go Again Gaming AZ on Twitter as well. So make sure you go and follow me there for my raw thoughts and stuff. It's always good. Yeah, that's it. Kel.
Last and certainly not least, Kel.
Hello, my name is Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue. You can find me at Red Zone Rogue everywhere, mostly Twitter and YouTube. I was going to say something about my raw thoughts, but I shouldn't say my raw thoughts because they will probably get me in trouble sometimes. I don't know. Not that I'm saying anything bad, but like I have the tendency to not take things lying down. And if I see someone say something stupid or just, I really want to call them out and say stuff, and I really shouldn't. I really shouldn't. So, but yeah, if you want to follow me, go for it. Mostly just talk about Flesh and Blood though. Mostly Flesh and Blood and other card games. Did some sorcery stuff recently and some Grand Archive stuff. But just card games, mostly Flesh and Blood. That's that.
Fantastic.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, with that being said, thank you both for joining me once again for a fantastic chat, and thank you, the audience, for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it as always. Stay well and stay safe, and we will catch you all in the next episode.
Bye.
Cheers.